Let me tell you, there's going to be no confusion about which side of the faction I am on. I am with Uddhav Thackeray ji. I will repeat this like 100 times over, even if there are 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. We are going to be fighting this out. I used to be writing columns way before I joined the Congress.
Yeah.
I was a communication person. Many people tend to think that everything I did was after joining them. Always learn even from your opponents. And what Mr. Modi has done, he's transformed what communication is, visual communication is. And that is something you must give him full marks for. Trolling for women is way higher. Statistics prove it. Worldwide, it is a phenomenon where women are mostly trolled. There's a history for everyone.
Yeah.
Either you embrace that history. Many times people tell me that, oh, you are that turncoat. अरे ये तो वो है जिस पार्टी में जाती है जो करती है. अब है मेरी history है. It was not supposed to be that way, but हो गई है. There was no reason for you to, in hindsight, do a suspension. चलो कर दिया. And फिर मुझसे कहने लगे माफ़ी मांगो. मैं ना किस बात की माफ़ी मांगू? For standing up for the people of this country. इसकी माफ़ी मांगू मैं. मेरी बहनें मुझसे कहती हैं कि लाइफ में कभी तुम्हारे टीचर ने get out of the class भी नहीं कहा होगा और आज तो पूरे देश के सामने तो
Get out हो गया.
How does it feel? You know, they were having fun at my expense.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to another edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Today my guest is Priyanka Chaturvedi. She's a woman member of parliament nominated to the Rajya Sabha from the Shiv Sena party. Priyanka Chaturvedi was first in the Congress party, and due to one incident which she's spoken about in the podcast, she left the party. She was considered close to the powers that be. But she didn't hesitate. Once she decided to leave the party, she went back to Mumbai, and there she decided to join the Shiv Sena, a regional party. Now, in the Shiv Sena, she's again close to the powers that be. In parliament, her role has been pretty strong. She picks up issues sometimes which are not even connected to Mumbai or Maharashtra, the party from where she belongs. But she's very vociferous in her defense or in her view about gender equality on gender issues. She speaks a lot. She also has a very strong view about Hindutva, about the BJP. She's very strident in her criticism of whether it is Mr. Modi or whether it is Mr. Amit Shah. But whatever she speaks on, she speaks straight from her heart. You'll see that even in her conversation. Now, she gets trolled a lot, but she takes on her trolls with a lot of gusto, and she doesn't give them any space when she takes them on. So here's my conversation with Priyanka Chaturvedi. Joining me in the podcast is my colleague Payal Mehta. Priyanka ji, thank you very much for coming to ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. And before I begin about all your politics and about everything to do with Shiv Sena, I'm going to start by asking you, how do you cope with all that supreme love that you get on social media?
No, firstly, I was surprised with that G that you added to my name. Smita, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
So, so all the love that I get from social media, I think it is just something you get used to. You remember how we started, how Twitter was a place where we used to have a lot of fun. But we've seen that transition happen to a point where you can't share any part of your personal life. It's all about your work. And yet you get trolled. But I think I've learned to live with it now. There's no other way but continue to do what you're doing. And while I read all the comments, but I have to ignore them. But dealing with it, I think it was another transition for me. I used to be very... it used to be very surprising for me, very sensitive about any criticism coming my way. So for that also to change, it took a little time. There were times when I used to just think of deleting my Twitter handle. But then I used to wonder, why should I be doing that? Shouldn't these guys be learning how to talk to women? But I think it's become so... such a way of life for some people to seek attention. So I've started to ignore it.
But it wasn't like that initially for you, right? It's only after you moved to politics that it got really vicious with the trolling that came your way.
Yes, it was. I remember a phase where you also one of the first movers to that platform. And we were amongst those who were...
There was a little village that one had and everybody chatted. And I remember that you could have different political opinions and it didn't matter.
And it was almost like a town square. You come, you have fun, you talk about your favorite food, favorite music, movies, etc. And we saw a lot of barriers also coming down. So political people who were, at that point of time when I joined Twitter, I wasn't really active in politics. Politics also happened after I joined Twitter, after the entire terror attacks, and I was already on social media when the 26/11 terror attacks happened in Mumbai. So I've seen that transition happen where it used to be a fun place to this. So I think it's part of how you mold yourself, I guess.
But is it disturbing? Because, sometimes these comments are really, really personal. They call you, they've called you manhoos and I don't know what all.
They've called me panauti, they've called me manhoos, they've called me all kinds of names ke jahan jati hai, you create a problem. But I guess, like I told somebody once, कि अगर इनसे ऐसे ट्वीट करने से उनका खून बढ़ता है, उनकी सेहत ठीक रहती है, परिवार में जाकर खुशियाँ बांट सकते हैं या उनकी कमाई हो जाती है, आई एम हैप्पी फॉर देम इफ इट मेक्स देयर लाइव्स हैप्पियर और दे सीम टू बी इन अ बेटर स्पेस आफ्टर ट्रोलिंग मी, गुड फॉर यू.
But okay, that's a good way of dealing with trolls, right? Where you have to understand how to deal with them. But it does affect the mental health. After all, one is a human being. You can't, if you're constantly abused and your children are dragged, your family is dragged, I think that hurts, isn't it?
That hit me quite a bit, and many times it has hit me, especially when it comes to my children. I think it's a very motherly instinct. As soon as it comes to your children, you react in a certain way. So I decided very early on social media profiles that anyone who crosses the line, you can continue to talk about me, etc. But you can't, if you drag my children into this, you drag my family who's not in political space of work, you drag them, then I won't spare you. And I've gone to the cops so many times. I think before I became a member of parliament, they were very familiar with me. Someone who comes and she complains about it. And there was a point in time when they used to tell me, पर वो तो सब online हो रहा है. Why are you getting disturbed? It took me a lot of time to explain to them as well in Mumbai that जो online होता है वो हमें impact करता है. So with my kids, I don't just tolerate. I don't tolerate. Even now, I'm very thin-skinned about my children. But with me, I sometimes feel either you can continue battling this out or fighting this out or learn to live with it, accommodate this kind of trolling behavior. Because I'm very certain that these very people would not come to my face and do things like this or say the kind of things they do.
Oh, no, they don't.
They don't.
I mean, I'm sure, go ahead and have coffee. Yeah. There's some people telling me that you're not a good host because your guests don't drink their coffee and you keep drinking.
But ये podcast में होता है, observe, okay? You can't just interrupt or when you're gulping your coffee down, वो sound भी पकड़ लेता है.
Enhanced, that's true. Yeah. So, I'm going to come back to, the mental health of women who are on social media and coping with that. I'm going to come back to it, but it would be unfair if I continue to talk on this and not speak about your political avatar. And, for our viewers or our listeners who are abroad, you're one of those women politicians who does not come from a political family. You don't have a godfather. You didn't have a brother, mother, sister, brother, anybody in politics who propelled you, or you thought, you worked in the constituency of your family. So hence you got into it. So tell me, why did you get into politics and why the Congress party?
So when the 26/11 terror attacks happened, politics was not part of my scenario or something that I thought I would do. And like every average Indian citizen at that point in time, they felt the farther away you are from politics, the better it is. Let those who are handling it, handle it. I came from a family which believed in that. Okay, तुम क्या करोगे? हम क्या करेंगे? We go once in 5 years, vote करके आ जाते हैं. And obviously, जब भी हम TV set चालू करते हैं, तो गाली जो भी होता है कि देश का बंटाधार किया हुआ है राजनीति वालों ने types. So I came from a family like that. 26/11 kind of changed my focus in life, where I had just had a baby, and I remember my husband was traveling from Bangalore. He was returning to Mumbai, and I heard of the blast near the airport. And I was quite shaken to the core. I was a normal Mumbaiker working in her space, etc. I thought we had to contribute to the society. So that was one change. The second was why the Congress. At that point in time when I started my pavement schools. And in terms of voting, I come from a family which was very liberal in mindset, which was, my parents moved from Mathura to Mumbai. And they felt that Mumbai has done so much and it's so inclusive and got career opportunities there. So they somehow connected it to the Congress and that we are all living in this space right from the freedom movement to now. So that was how my upbringing was. In terms of my in-laws, they were totally on the other side of the spectrum. So that's another interesting story. So Congress became a very natural choice for me. And at that point in time, when they were opening up the system, Shri Rahul Gandhi had started this entire process of bringing in people from different spheres of work. And they had approached me. They said that, you're doing some great work. Why don't you look at Youth Congress as a platform? And that is how I initiated my entire political career. But I was very, I would say, how you are apprehensive and you're also questioning their credibility, that would they be able to look at someone who's coming from a totally non-political background and make space for her.
You were also, I remember the first meeting that you had with Rahul Gandhi. You tweeted on that, and I was like, she's such a fangirl, because you literally it was like a fangirl moment for you when you met him for the first time. And I know that there were many who were, oh, your name is Priyanka, his sister's name is Priyanka. And then you tweeted a picture, of, I don't think selfies were there at that time, but there was a picture that you tweeted of it. And you literally had, glazed eyes. You were like a fangirl.
Because, I'm sure even if I meet Omar Abdullah, I'll have that glazed eyes even now. Because those are people who've grown up watching on television and making news stories, talking about politics. And I came from a totally non-political background. Never would have thought that I'll be in this space of work where I will be engaging with them and I'll be talking to them. I think social media in that manner did a fantastic job.
And also there was this conversations that, lots of us used to have without realizing it's a public platform. Everybody is... So personal views, there was actually, Payal, there was a list which was put out and everybody did this. Like in college, there was something called a chick chart, where good-looking girls' names were put on that. It was horrendous. Now when you look back of it, you say, oh my God, what a sexist thing it is. But on Twitter, there was something called Nayan Sukh.
Oh my God. And the Clooney weather.
And the Clooney weather. And women would automatically say कि ये Nayan Sukh politicians hai, pleasing to the eye, in which Rahul Gandhi used to be there,
Shashi
Omar
Tharoor,
Abdullah, Shashi Tharoor. So everybody used to put in out there without thinking that this can come back to haunt us at some point of time.
It does.
And those kind of conversations, I think you didn't realize probably that you're going to get into public life.
Yes, like, I used to talk about someone's dressing sense, some public personality. I used to talk about their saris. It used to be so casual. It was
you still do that. You still watch what people wear.
Oh, of course, I always do that.
But she's careful
But
now.
then I WhatsApp it to a particular set of people, but I don't tweet it because you get into trouble. But the point is that there was a time when I used to comment on people's clothes and I used to say how unfashionable or like what is the combination even. It was just so normal. And I remember Smita used to tweet this, जब भी मौसम अच्छा होता था, she said, oh, this is so Clooney weather.
Yeah, till somebody told me ये midlife crisis हो रही है Smita को, that she still got this crush on a person who's in his 50s and so is she. So it was like horrendous.
Yeah. Imagine, we used to discuss, and many people who are from the old Twitter gang, they will remember this. Since college days, I had this huge crush on Arjun Rampal. And every time we used to discuss Arjun Rampal, everybody would tag me, Priyanka, Arjun is being discussed. So it used to be such a fun place. But we've seen the transition happen.
Yeah, but when you joined the Congress, did people in the Congress party or did the media cell tell you, tone this down, like change your avatar?
Not at all.
No?
That is, I think, one thing that I'd appreciate is that they were like, be who you are, do what you want. And
I don't believe that.
No,
Priyanka.
it was. But it just came very consciously to me that, now that I have been nominated as a media panelist of a party, and so it definitely comes with certain responsibilities, and I kind of toned down myself because everything I was putting out there was being linked to Congress in some way. So if I say, oh, I love red, they would say, oh, how can you love red when Congress party loves green or whatever, Yeah. So I was like, everything would come back to the Congress party. So I thought it made no sense for me to, even if, for example, if I was to share an English song or a Hindi song and like, oh, who are you linking this song to? Who is this song for?
Do you think that it happens a lot for women spokespersons of political parties more than the male spokespersons? Like, was Mr. Surjewala attacked in the same manner like you were?
Okay, that's a very unfair comparison.
Okay, because he was heading your team, right?
No, but I'm certainly not. I'm very sure it did not work like that. And I don't think men take it to heart as much as women do. But definitely, trolling for women is way higher. Statistics prove it. Worldwide, it is a phenomenon where women are mostly trolled.
See, you were with Rahul Gandhi when he was a president. He was of the party, and you were in the media cell. You were very working
Active.
closely, active. And what is the difference and then you had your issues with the media team at that time. There was Divya Spandana who was heading the team, and then it was quite obvious to all of us from the outside that there seems to be some. There's something not working right, And 2019 elections, they lost, and the entire media team went their separate ways. Everything collapsed. So tell us something about it. It's over, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. So yes, I was pretty active on social media. And I think I did a good job for them. I mean, I would say so, considering that. I still get calls from a lot of people from the Congress, from far off places, rural constituencies, or maybe because I've worked in Madhya Pradesh, I've worked in Karnataka. So I do get calls from them. But yes, there were certain challenges where I felt that you can always overlook them because it's part of the process. No organization can please everybody. So, but yeah, you're quite right. It was pretty awkward at times in terms of working alongside people who I would say were a bit toxic.
So tell me, you left Congress also because of something which happened which was very toxic. It was like it just seemed that it was boiling and boiling and boiling,
Yes.
and that was the watershed moment.
That definitely was the watershed moment for me because, Smita, if you've known me and you've seen my entire trajectory, I've not been someone, I'm comfortable in my space. I'm not insecure about people. I know what I do. I bring the best to the table and my best abilities and best efforts. And I don't think anybody would raise a finger to that particular point of the issue. But I did feel that certain things were not just going right. Not that I was seeking a ticket, which is told about many times. Many people make that as an excuse. Then they say, oh, Priyanka ne settle kiya with another party before she chose to jump. Opportunistic. There was nothing of that sort. I was pretty happy in my space, but there were moments where I felt that things could have been handled better. But this particular thing, like you said, was the tipping point for me. Tipping point because I have stood very strongly about women's rights and women's issues. And when you as a political party are talking about women and how women have to be heard, etc., then you have to prioritize that. You cannot, have two thoughts about it for outsiders or insiders, right? What you speak outside should be applicable within the party. What happened was in a particular month, some people were suspended, but they were brought back during the election time. And that I thought was the aar par kya thing, that if you take a stance now for me, and if I am important or if I'm relevant, forget important to koi hote hi nahi hai, but relevant. अगर मैं relevant हूँ, you will listen to me. और इनका जो गलत हुआ है, वो गलती आप सुधारेंगे. Didn't do it, said election के लिए वो ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. तो election के लिए वो ज़रूरी है, मेरे लिए ये ज़रूरी है, तो मैं निकल ही पड़ती हूँ. तो I resigned.
Did you speak with Priyanka Gandhi or Sonia Gandhi? Look, the reason I asked their names is because if such an incident had happened where a woman politician would have got roughed up and things in, say, a Samajwadi party or in a party where women are not in positions of power, then I can well understand that, hierarchy-wise, you don't get your view. But this is a party where ladki hu, lad sakti hu, there's a Priyanka Gandhi and there's a Sonia Gandhi who's been at the helm for like almost 30 years now. So did you get a hearing from either of them?
Actually, to be very honest, मैं उन तक पहुंची ही नहीं थी. शुरू में जब शुरू में ये पूरा किस्सा हुआ था उन तक पहुंची ही नहीं थी क्योंकि मैंने आई हैड शेयर दिस विद द जनरल सेक्रेटरी इन चार्ज ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश विच वाज गुलाम नबी आज़ाद जी, और दूसरा माय इमीडिएट बॉस विच वाज रणदीप सुरजेवाला. I had shared it with both of them, and immediately, a committee was formed, and they realized what Priyanka was saying was right, and suspensions happened. The main person who was to be suspended was not suspended for whatever reasons, because he was someone I knew since my childhood days, but even he ended up being part of the problem. But it was decided mutually that let's not do that. We have taken action against the team. My only request at that time was that when the time comes, please ensure that they are not taken back. 6 years का suspension था उनका. और टाइम ऐसे समय पे टाइम आया कि इलेक्शन चल रहा है, इलेक्शन के बीचों बीच हो, तब तक जनरल सेक्रेटरी इंचार्ज उत्तर प्रदेश के बदल चुके थे. जो वहाँ का इंचार्ज थे वो ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया थे. मैं सिंधिया ज्योति के पास गई थी. ज्योति को बाकायदा द फर्स्ट डे ही हैड टेकन चार्ज ऑफ वेस्टर्न यूपी मैंने जाकर बताया था ऐसे ऐसे किस्सा हुआ है तो आप ध्यान रखिएगा. उनके भी ध्यान में नहीं रहा.
I think he had stopped being interested also by then in Western Uttar Pradesh.
उनका चुनाव चल रहा था उधर. उनको लगा कि वो लोग कुछ डिमांड कर रहे हैं. आपको सब पता था, आपने ये काम किया. तभी भी मैंने I did not approach them, and I'm very certain if I would have perhaps approached Priyanka Gandhi ji or Mrs. Gandhi, they would have given me a fair hearing. But it came at a time, the taking them back in at a time when everybody was so caught up, and then everybody tried to tell me that listen, we will address this post-election, which I was not ready for. There comes a point in time where you decide that what do you stand up for, and for me that was it.
But isn't that shocking? You have a woman who's at the helm, as Smita ji has been saying, but waiting and telling a woman that abhi ruk jao, baad mein dekhenge. This is a serious issue, isn't it?
No,
isn't that
again,
shocking?
it
Why would you have to reach out to them? Why couldn't they have reached out to you?
No,
the mother and
maybe
daughter
because
often talk about so much of women empowerment.
No,
don't
because
they?
maybe because they were not aware of this. Because I had resolved.
Priyanka, you're not a party worker. You were a spokesperson. You were somebody who was part of the media team. You were somebody who was there in the public.
Right.
And you put that out in the public domain.
But I'm a very stickler for protocol. That if that can be addressed by XYZ, why should I trouble ABC? So that has been my case even now. I mean, I would say that if something can be resolved at this level, why do I take it to that? But I try not to make anything ugly, because it just doesn't work out when you look back in time. And but I thought that because Jyotiraditya was just so close to them,
that they would have got this.
Even Jyotiraditya could have said, yeah, Priyanka's right. And for Jyoti also to say, let's hang on, I have an election going, and that they have asked for something. Chalo, I mean, I say everything's in the past and we've kind of
No, it's not. That's what happens, Chalo, chhod do business, baad mein dekh. Anyway, let me get back to the media team. You were there in their media team, right? What do you have to say? Do you see any change in the media team now that Jairam Ramesh has come? You're seeing Rahul Gandhi then and Rahul Gandhi of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Do you
25 kilometers.
Yeah, do you see any difference in the way the media is being, his projection in the media? Is it more successful, do you think, now?
I think it would be unfair for me to say anything at this point, because Jairam Ramesh has just taken over.
But the rebranding is quite transformational, I feel. In the past just 2 months.
A reactionary time is like this.
I would say maybe there is also an understanding of how narrative works. And I can tell you one thing for sure, that was quite a struggle for me to explain the power of imagery, the power of visuals. Like, you always learn even from your opponents. And what Mr. Modi has done, he's transformed what communication is, visual communication is. And that is something you must give him full marks for, because he's quite hands-on himself where communication is concerned. And if you've got your communication and your narrative in sync, then it becomes an unstoppable force.
How would you have a visual communication of a president who was not in the country when you were in the media team?
That was something which...
what would you show?
No, I'm certain, whenever he used to take some time out, but whenever he was in the country, there were enough and more... For example, I'd want to give you the fracas or the fiasco of Germany, his Germany visit, where some photos were put up on Twitter.
Yeah, looking up, down, left, right, round.
Any communication expert would tell you that even if you've taken photos like this, I'm sure Mr. Modi ji has his own moments, but Mr. Modi ji is very careful about what he's putting out there. But
You're in the public domain eventually.
if your communication person has gone and put that out, who someone you're relying on and you depend on, I would blame the communication person, because you are trying to let down the person who had faith in you to show the right image or to set the right narrative. And that was a very interesting outreach that he had. He was getting a lot of traction abroad, and he was able to put his point of view across, and without being censored, without being stopped, and he could speak his mind. And that was the momentum that was coming out of it. And those 4 images that were tweeted out from the Congress party handle were just so unfortunate. So those were my pain points, right? Because as someone who has and let me also on your show put it on record, which you are aware of, you are also aware of, but I used to be writing columns way before I joined the Congress.
Yeah.
I was a communication person. Many people tend to think that everything I did was after joining them. I was already doing that. For someone who has been in the communication, who's hands-on with social media, would understand all of this.
So you, then you, from a centre-left or a left party that Congress has become, the options were there for you, right? Why join this extreme right party then, Shiv Sena?
Actually, not many are aware, because see, when you're sitting in Delhi, your narrative is only via the parliament and what you're hearing. But on ground locally, there's a lot of changes that are happening. And because I used to keep, my family had refused to move with me to Delhi, because my husband used to keep telling me that your role is so uncertain. You don't know where you're heading in life. Why should we move baggage to Delhi? And because of what you are choosing to do. So I used to live a very tough life. 5 days of the week I was in Delhi. Only the weekends I was getting to spend with my children. And in those weekends, we were trying to get all the family together, do our family numbers, try and do our holidays. Holidays also became a luxury. It became very difficult. So, but I used to keep going to Mumbai and Maharashtra, and I used to keep figuring out what is happening on ground. And I was seeing a transition happen because Aditya ji had just stepped in and he had his own ideas, whether it was with plastic ban, whether it was transforming the entire educational system of the BMC. The BMC runs schools. I was seeing a real push towards issue-based political party. It was moving away from what it was because they felt it was not the need of the hour then. The need of the hour was to look at skill building, etc.
But the politics is of street politics.
No, the politics, see, there is a momentum that you build through your on-ground movements. And there is once you are in that position of power, what are you doing with it? Are you transforming lives? Are you transforming systems? Are you transforming the ability of people to aspire for more? So that was what I was seeing with that. So he is very clear with the environment that climate change is a challenge. He was speaking about it a lot earlier than it became a fashionable thing to speak about. I was seeing that happen. And I also felt that with me moving, and I did not want to, I was definitely very let down by Delhi at that point in time. I said, national party, whatever, it could be a national party, the Congress party, but I want to move back to Maharashtra. Family was the biggest pull for me. Politics was not in my horizon. I thought, चलो अब resign कर दिया, राजनीति कुछ महीनों के लिए छोड़ दूंगी, and then Congress will come back to me, or something like that, that was. But then when I resigned, everything happened within 48 hours, and I was so angry. That is when Aditya ji told me, wow, things seem to be going so well for you. What are you doing? What are you even doing? It used to be such a happy feeling to see you standing next to Sri Rahul Gandhi and talking and, addressing the media. And I told him, and he asked me, what's your plan? I said, nothing. I mean, I'm coming back to Mumbai, baggage. So he said, if that is where you're looking at working, why would you want to give up your politics? I said, because I don't see myself going with any other party now. He said, why don't you look at us? And that is when it struck me that it made just the perfect sense. I get to work in Maharashtra. I get to work in the city I love. where my family belongs, and I'd be able to work for a party which has been, very cosmopolitan in terms of working in the city of Mumbai.
We're cosmopolitan.
No.
I get that part where you're talking about environment and all that Aditya is doing and all. That's fine. But it is an essentially Hindutva party, much more than even the BJP.
Yes.
And you all through were attacking in the sense, ideologically attacking that Hindutva aspect of the BJP. You were never attacking anything other than the Hindutva aspect of Mr. Modi, of Mr. Amit Shah, of Fadnavis, of anybody.
No, I didn't attack Mr. Fadnavis at all.
Fadnavis is BJP. Fadnavis is BJP leanings or whatever. But the point is that it's the Hindutva aspect. And here is a party born and bred. I mean, Mr. Bal Thackeray's politics is all about that. It's about Hindutva more radical than even the BJP. So, how do you reconcile with that?
No, again, I will repeat to you in terms of their ideology. They were very clear, Ram Mandir banna hai. You can go back to all my Twitter profile and say if I have ever opposed the Ram Mandir. I found it I had a problem with using the Ram Mandir issue to create a hate narrative.
Okay.
That was always my problem. If you would go back to my, I used to address a lot of college people, and 370 बहुत आता था. 370 बार Congress को लेकर बोलते थे, and this was my point too. That 370 is something which was a temporary measure put in place to assimilate people, to give them that sense of confidence. But we have to start discussing this because the youth of the country, in other parts of the country, is talking about it. This was my point of view within the Congress, that 370 is a point where you all will actually have to work with various stakeholders and have a point of view on that.
Recalibrate, yes.
Recalibrate, I would say.
Yes.
So again, and that is something that I totally was in line with what Shiv Sena thought about it. My only thing was about the language and how it was building a narrative. So when I started to work with, and like I said, there was a transition happening. Their movement, they realized that what do they prioritize? What is it that the aspiration of people of Maharashtra matches right now? And they consciously were moving out of that imagery, that the painted picture of what it was about Shiv Sena, where it is totally like you said, it was extreme right.
So
there was transition.
So when this transition was happening, do you think, I don't know, Payal, is that the view that most political reporters have, that when the Shiv Sena started changing its priorities, that is when it started losing its MLAs, it's the people who felt that Aditya is now not in line with what Bal Thackeray had taught them all. That's what Shinde says, right?
That's what everybody from that
I won't go, but
says.
Okay, now here's my question to you. Many from Atal Bihari Vajpayeeji's era would totally not agree with the era that they are seeing under Shri Narendra Modi, Bharatiya Janata Party. Transitions are a part of any political party, any political movement. Today, Aam Aadmi Party, what it began on and what it is talking about are very different functions. So, and I will always continue to say whatever the current faction is speaking about. 2014, we contested separately. We got 63 seats.
But they say 2019 was the mandate which was given to the BJP. That's what the BJP says.
See, I'll tell you how many arguments they've offered. Let me tell you. It started with mandate ये था. फिर ये था कि हिंदुत्व से दूर हुए. फिर ये मैंडेट हुआ कि उद्धव साहब किसी से मिलते नहीं थे. फिर हुआ कि आदित्य ठाकरे
मिलते थे क्या? नहीं मिलते थे.
I'll get to that also. I'll get to all the reasoning. आदित्य ठाकरे जी सब में इंटरफेयर करते थे. So their excuses will never end because they have something to say. There has to be some consistency.
But Priyanka, when people constantly say that Uddhav Saab was not available, how did he know? How did he not know what was happening right under his nose?
Okay.
Shinde and company. How did he not
first
know?
About Hindutva. Ram Mandir, first political party which said that Supreme Court needs to take a decision on this. Once he becomes a chief minister, first political chief minister after taking the oath, going to Ayodhya Ram Mandir and also publicly donating to that particular temple, Ram Mandir. No chief minister did that. Second, about Hindutva, you talk about redeveloping all the temples, coming up with a temple trail as part of our manifesto. as part of a manifesto. Again, is it not part of Hindutva? And which Hindutva teaches you that you only have to talk about hate-filled Hindutva? Which Hindutva principles teach you that you can start to backstab, you can start to leave parties on something which is hate-driven? So, I mean, this is quite silly an argument, right?
So, yeah, you can give different definitions of Hindutva or interpretations of Hindutva. I get that. But the point is that everybody saw them as natural allies, the BJP and the Shiv Sena. You went in for an election and that the votes were for a combination of that. And then for Shiv Sena to go with the Congress party, whatever it meant, कि Uddhav को CM बनाने का promise किया था, नहीं किया था, that's all behind closed doors. We don't know what happened. So you might have an interpretation, Mr. Shah might have another interpretation of what that meeting was all about.
Right.
Let's put that aside, right? Just to go with that, do you think anybody voted for the Shiv Sena saying that it will be with the Congress party?
Okay, so I have a question to you. 2014, we contested separately. People voted for Shiv Sena. That was the highest tally Shiv Sena got.
Okay.
No, but Priyanka, Shiv Sena...
Just allow me to complete. Just allow me to complete. So this argument doesn't hold good. And now my second question is this a first in India? Didn't we see that happen?
One minute. Go back to that argument. Let's go back to that argument. You won, right?
2014.
You won 14. But when you won the Maharashtra election, it was together.
No, again, I'll just want to complete. The pre-poll alliance came on a certain understanding. At that point in time, Shri Amit Shah flew down to Mumbai, did this alliance. If you are talking about winning on a base of a combination and then backstabbing and saying, boss, we can't do this. We never committed it. So that is also something that every political party will have to think of its alliance.
You don't think that it's some kind of a vishwasghat on your people to go with the Congress? I'm not saying anything about...
Okay.
To form... You could sit in the opposition and say that this was the understanding with the BJP.
Okay.
If they don't come on board, then we're not forming government with the BJP.
So here's my counter question to you. Okay.
Because the BJP couldn't have probably gone with the Congress to form a government,
so BJP can go to PDP and form a government.
Kashmir is a different point.
So Haryana is different? Is Haryana different?
In Haryana?
BJP and JJP?
Okay, but...
All my little point of view here is, and I will continue to say, political parties... Now, you were saying they came on an alliance. Right, they came on an alliance on the basis of certain commitments made. Commitments not lived with. And now look at other examples of the alliance. शिरोमणि अकाली दल के साथ आप बनाते थे, मुख्यमंत्री किसका होता था? शिरोमणि अकाली दल का. भले उनके नंबर्स कम आए, ज़्यादा आए, जो भी हों. अब आप AIADMK के साथ गए, किसका मुख्यमंत्री होता था? उनका होता था, AIADMK का. तो ऑल वी सेड वाज, अब हमने 5 साल 2014 से 19 हमने नहीं बात की है. इसकी बात होगी, मान गए, चलिए मान गए, जब नंबर्स आ गए तब आपने कहा सॉरी हमने नहीं कहा था. तो एक पॉलिटिकल पार्टी हैं हम भी अपने डिसीजंस ले सकते हैं. और अगर कांग्रेस पार्टी और एनसीपी हमारे एजेंडा पे आ रही है, कॉमन मिनिमम एजेंडा पे आ रही है, तो हम क्यों नहीं सोचेंगे सरकार बनाने की? It is very...
So let's move from this topic because it's going to go on and on.
Priyanka, what was Uddhav Thackeray ji thinking when he was stitching up that alliance? You know the top in the party very, very well. Was it an easy decision? Was it a difficult decision? Was it a decision for
All
power?
I can say is that decision came with everyone's consultation within Shiv Sena. और अगर अब कोई बोलता है अरे हम
including Shinde?
Absolutely. And I can say it on your channel, on your show, that he was very much part of the conversation. He was part of every minute of that conversation.
So what caused a change of heart a few years later for him?
वो ईडी से जाकर पूछो. वो मैं नहीं जवाब दे पाऊंगी.
Okay, now you tell me, did Uddhav ji not realize or did Aditya not realize that there are rumblings and this is not going to last and that people within his party, because so many quit. It's not अगर 10 चले गए, 15 चले गए, अलग बात है. जब इतने सारे जा रहे हैं, the intelligence was so low that nobody knew इतने जा रहे हैं. या इतने
दो चीज़ें I forgot to address that. ये साथ में इंक्लूड कर दूंगी. एक था कि उद्धव जी किसी से मिलते ही नहीं थे. Again not true. अब आप देखिए 2019 नवंबर में हमने ओथ ली है. जनवरी, फरवरी, मार्च में कोविड आ गया. लॉकडाउन हो गया. लॉकडाउन में या तो हम कहें चलिए चलिए हम लोग सब रोज़ रोज़ मिलते हैं और कोविड स्प्रेड करते हैं और कोविड वाला माहौल बनाते हैं, और यू से आई हैव टेकन चार्ज, I'm already under attack for not having the administrative whatever, and there's a huge problem coming my way. So let me resolve that, and let's have all hands on board and work towards it. Well, that was your priority. You are in touch with every single district, every single booth, whether organization or the government, arms, everyone, and we managed to do a decent job. मैं एज अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी नहीं बोल रही हूँ, WHO बोल रहा है, आपका हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री ने भी ये कहा है, तो सब ने कहा है, तो अच्छा काम ही किया होगा, तो ये अचीव हो सकता है विदाउट हिम बीइंग एक्सेसिबल. That's one part.
He's a shy person, so he's shy. He's reluctant to meet with people. I mean, you probably have access to the Thackerays. People do not have access to the Thackerays.
How many have access to Amit Shah ji?
Oh yes,
lot of people.
Lot of
are we talking about ground
lot
level
of people.
workers?
In
that's
fact,
one
it's the
thing.
ground level workers who have most access to him. If he goes to anywhere in
Not
Western
just-
UP,
no, not just
he knows
him.
20
Not just the
villages
BJP.
में उसके घर पे जाके उनका नाम और उसका हाउस नंबर तक उनको.
And Payal, it's not just the BJP. You
They
talk
also
about
briefed about it.
You also look at Akhilesh Yadav, look at Tejasvi Yadav, look at any chief minister, look at the Badals. Even though they have a lot of security, mind
But
you.
again, you're comparing it to a
Mamta,
period.
look at anybody.
You're comparing it to a period.
KCR, anybody.
You're comparing it to a period.
Even
where
COVID. Even during COVID, the point is that
even during COVID when there were floods.
वैसे as a person, as a family, they don't really interact, isn't
that's
it?
not true because there are three important events that happen in Shiv Sena Party's Foundation Day, Guru Purnima Day, and the Dussehra Rally Day. Besides that, there's constant engagement with every booth level worker, ward, shakha, everything. Constant hai. I mean, once in every 15 days, there's a conversation. So this I have seen because the sense of commitment to engaging with your political party members is much higher than I saw even in the Congress party. Let me also tell you that. That sense of communication, okay, what do our leadership think and what do they want us to do, is there. Even when we stitched up this alliance and this alliance was coming out, he did speak to all of them. So whether we're doing this through online conversations or whatever, there was a period of 3 months. That 3 months where he had his surgeries, back to back 2 surgeries, and after which there was a health bubble that was created.
Okay, you had a very bitter parting with the Congress and you moved to the Shiv Sena and then comes this alliance. I mean, what did you feel at that time? Why would you want to be again in a party which is now going to be in alliance?
Was in a party which was coming in alliance with the Congress on its own terms and conditions. That's point one.
मतलब गूंगी मूक party होगी Congress.
Point two was that even if you saw my exit letter, and my exit letter was not bitter in any way. The parting was bitter, but my exit letter or my engagement to them was not. My problem was with a couple of people. My problem, and I must also share this with you, that when I joined the Shiv Sena, I was telling Sahab, I remember that, sir, I'm coming after 10 years, I have worked with the Congress, and of course I've criticized you, I've criticized Aditya ji also at times, especially about the BMC, though I used to be very critical. So, what do? I can't delete those tweets because I stand by them. He said, absolutely not. You don't need to. So there was no bitterness per se with the Congress. But yes, when they came into an alliance, for me, it was about a political party which is seeing a situation like this. And my duty would be to stand by my party leadership's decision, political decision. They took that decision and I have to work in sync with them. But they all came together on a certain set of understanding, which was working very beautifully. So,
you were talking about accessibility and all that. Even within the Shiv Sena, there was a little bit of angst when you got nominated to Rajya Sabha, that, you're a lateral entry in a way.
I mean, सब कुछ मिल गया.
हाँ, आते ही सब कुछ मिल गया. ये बहुत से पार्टियों में होता है that, those who have access to the leadership, especially with regional parties, which are family-run parties, कि अगर आपको leadership के साथ access हो गया तो आप सीधा राज्य सभा पहुंच जाओगे. And that happened with you. So, did you feel that resentment within your party?
No, I did not. In fact, someone had gone on record, had said something off the record. He also, after a day, held a press conference and said that I don't think this was the right thing for me to say, and I withdraw those comments. But again, Rajya Sabha, I would say, came about because of the Mahavikas Aghadi coming together, the three different parties coming together. And after I joined the Sena, we in the month of October, we were going through Lok Sabha elections. I could not contribute much. But during the assembly elections, no one from the Shiv Sena can say that I did not travel the length and breadth of the state. Like I said, my commitment to my job and to the decision I've taken is always above 100%. So I traveled across the length and breadth of the state. Whatever the outcome, whatever role was given to me, I would just take it hands-on. I would say, all right, I will lead this, I will do this. I used to come up with ideas, and I was grateful that they gave me the platform. They allowed me to do what I wanted to and heard me out. The most important part of being in part of a political system is you feel heard. You feel respected for your views. Many times it was dismissed, because from my previous experience. But here I was being heard, I was giving the respect, and I was also told that why don't you start working on it. And that was a very refreshing change. And that made me a lot more confident about creating policy narratives and policy changes. So I did do all that work after during the elections, post-elections. Even with the BMC, I started coordinating closely with BMC policies, what we can streamline better, what we can talk about. Because I only got to understand the workings of the BMC after I started going there, meeting people, etc. So those were things I've tried to do. And it would be unfair for anyone to say that everything has been given to me on a platter, really.
So in Rajya Sabha, you got suspended in Rajya Sabha, and one has seen you being very, very militant about certain things, protesting and certainly raising the profile of your party. The numbers that you have in Parliament, you certainly make more noise than the numbers.
Asking probably record number of questions.
Yeah.
And every time that Priyanka asks a question about women or something that has happened to women, Ashwini Vaishnav has his hands up. He's like, now I have to answer that.
Yeah, so you're very active in Parliament, and you got suspended because of that. See, Rajya Sabha, one had seen those debates which were very erudite. The people who would come to Rajya Sabha, as students, we would listen to it to learn from the way they conduct themselves and from the content of their speeches. Slowly, Rajya Sabha has degraded. I'm sorry to say, use the term degraded, but it's become like Lok Sabha, the noise and the pushing and the shoving. Did you at any point of time, for that incident that happened in Parliament, do you regret what happened that day?
Actually, I have no regret. And I did not do anything, and I repeat, anything to deserve that suspension. Very clear about that. And I speak with that conviction because if you look at my parliamentary track record, I had never stepped into the well of the House at that point in time. Till then, never stepped into the well of the House. So you have to understand that a moment was created, a moment which was so weird, where the Business Advisory Committee had decided that bill is not coming. Revised list of business showed that business coming. It was an important issue for me where I thought that you cannot take this decision unilaterally, push and shove a bill across on the last day of the Parliament and think it's absolutely okay in that one, and you've allotted just about half an hour, 1 hour for discussion without taking every political party into, consideration or having a discussion when it was already in the Business Advisory Committee decided that it's not coming. How can you all make these unilateral changes? And that is just not acceptable to me. When I will continue to say, even if you're in the opposition with one member of Parliament, that member of Parliament deserves that respect and that voice. You can't shove or mute everybody. And that is what just got me to go inside the well of the House and protest about it. And I must say, I was very careful about, they were going on giving me that bill in my hand to tear off. I said, no, blank paper. I'll tear off the blank paper.
Oh God, that you learned from Rahul Gandhi, didn't you?
What is
Turn
that?
off
No,
the
no.
tearing off
That came from somebody who was charged up. And I was just standing in that particular, space, and I was just going on saying that this is not right. I wouldn't have even gone into the well of the house. And just a day prior, I must share this. Day prior, I had seen Pratap Singh Bajwa ji get on the table and throw the file at the chair.
The rule book.
I was shocked. But he was not suspended.
And it's your first term in Parliament, so for you it must have been.
Like my sisters joked with me when I came out. I was like all anger and fury, and of course that became a meme, and everybody was like "Khishani Billi ka Manoj." Of course that also got laughed about, and I got trolled. And actually, if I look at it, I'm like, oh my god, I was so angry. But I had gone inside the chamber also, and I had this entire shouting fest that you can't do this, you can't mess around with my career like this. I have been one of the most committed, 100% attendance, 100% whatever. You can't, and there was no reason for you to, in hindsight, do a suspension. Chalo kar diya. And फिर मुझसे कहने लगे माफी मांगू. मैं ना किस बात की माफी मांगू? For standing up for the people of this country. Iski maafi mangu main. So anyway, that is another thing. But when I came out and whatever happened, and I took the decision that I've come to spend my time in the parliament and contribute. That's why I used to tweet out my 0 hour every day, though it was never acknowledged, but I used to tweet it out because I'm committed to my work. And I will continue raising the voice.
So, that day, subsequently, so many people got suspended. किसी का नाम याद नहीं रहता, पर आपका नाम जरूर याद रहता है.
I want to find out, what did Anil Desai do? How did he get suspended?
Exactly.
और
by the way, ये joke रह गया. Like मेरी बहनें मुझसे कहती हैं कि लाइफ में कभी तुम्हारे टीचर ने get out of the class भी नहीं कहा होगा, और आज तो पूरे देश के सामने
Get out हो गया.
How does it feel? They were having fun at my expense. So yeah, that it came as a like. Boss, I'm not here for this.
Yeah.
But yes, Anil Desai ji, everybody was surprised.
Even the government was surprised कि ऐसे ही आदमी तो कुछ बोलता भी नहीं, कैसे suspend
Priyanka तो aggressive हो जाती है and all that. But Anil Desai ji came as a shocker. So we realized sooner or later, because many people told us that because we had suspended 12 of the MLAs in the assembly, they thought they'd do the same with us in the Rajya Sabha. They did what they wanted to. It's part of the political process or decision making. Whatever they did. But I have no regret.
So, many times there are women politicians who get attacked in a similar manner. Attacked in the sense that their aggression is saying, वो तो लड़ाकी है, right? नाटक करती है. And the whole thing becomes about women. But women get trolled on social media. Women get more attacked on, about their parliament behavior and stuff. But women don't stand with each other.
Yeah, that's
why is it that women parliamentarians don't? They join in that celebration of a woman being attacked. Why does that happen?
No, they don't join in any woman being attacked. Let me be very clear. That
there's no support structure.
There is no. And it's a matter of regret for me because when I started out as a parliamentarian, I thought I'll come up with a caucus where women rise above their political differences and stand up for their gender. So, women supporting women is one thing. What has happened in the parliament, and I realized, and it kind of it makes me hope that someday I'll be able to explain it to others. For example, my own case where I have whether it was if Shaina was getting trolled or whatever, I would stand up for her. Anybody getting trolled or attacked for an issue which has nothing to do with their political ideas, then I would definitely stand up. But hypocrisy, I will not stand up for. If you are not speaking up for other women and then you expect support for women, that I will definitely not stand up for. You have to make this above your politics. Unfortunately, most of the women in the parliament are unfortunately, they think that if they go beyond that daira of their political party, they might face some consequences.
Because it becomes so vicious. Like when Mahua is attacked, there is no way that we see either Sushmita Dev or anybody else coming up. If Smriti Irani is attacked, then there's no way you will. Of course, you won't. You certainly won't. One has seen.
We have a history.
You have a history.
I find it, and hypocrisy on her front, I will definitely say, because she took somebody to court because that person called her a very derogatory word, and I totally agree with her taking the call because she's empowered enough and we should do this. But when I remember, and I've never ever mentioned it, two things which hit me hard. a woman who had a problem with a derogatory word being used for her felt absolutely no guilt in saying "us gaane wali se pucho" to a question that she was asked. When I had moved from the Congress to Shiv Sena, she was asked a particular question, and it will never go out of my mind.
Because you sang...
yeah, I sang a song. It became popular.
So
in
that's
my
right.
Besuri awaz.
That's politics. You picked up...
But don't use a derogatory... I did not use... Did I use derogatory words?
Yeah, but
I did not.
The fact that you picked up her... See, this is what I'm saying about Smriti Irani is that even till date, when a channel refers to her, they say TV actress turned politician. It's that, it's a subtle way of putting down
That's for her to fight
career.
it out, honestly.
Yeah,
but
what
no,
I'm saying is
my
that
point is just this.
when you picked up that song, it was... See, since she's not here, I'm giving you her point of view because it's not a TV debate. But then I will just say this, that there's always something like that. Like Mahua, when she does something, you will see that nobody else will because they have a history.
So listen, there's a history for everyone.
Yeah.
Either you embrace that history. Many times people tell me that, oh, you are that turncoat. अरे ये तो वो है जिस पार्टी में जाती है जो करती है. अब है मेरी history है. It was not supposed to be that way, but हो गई है. So if I was someone as famous as...
That's so Delhi, no? Though you're from Mumbai, it's like मैं हूँ तो हूँ.
हूँ. अरे तुम एक successful television actress रही हो. Embrace it. Boss, तुम लोग, तुम्हारा legacy of work है.
Yeah. No, she doesn't run away from it.
So no, my
it's
point
this
is
subtle
just this.
putting down that people do.
I don't know. I wouldn't look at it as a put down. But if but you calling somebody a gaane wali is fine with you. You pulling down people is absolutely fine. That's an unfair advantage that
Do you think
happen
it
to
should
have.
change at some point of time?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
There should be...
I'd be happy to work with any woman member of parliament or for that matter, activist or whatever who I have a differing point of view from, to be able to speak about the gender issues.
See, while I'm speaking about politicians, I mean, you'll know that even in journalism, women journalists don't stand with each other. In law, they don't stand with each other. It's like they feel threatened by other women journalists. I don't understand why it happens, but it does happen. And it more so happens when you reach a certain level. When you are at the mid-level, इतना नहीं होता.
मुझे लगता है वो इसलिए भी है क्योंकि स्पेस बहुत कम मैं बार-बार ये कहती हूँ, make your share of the pie larger rather than fighting over the same share of the pie. जब तक ये नहीं तुम फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे मैं राजनीति में आई कहीं दूर दूर तक मेरे परिवार में राजनीति का नहीं था. मेरे इन लॉज तो ऐसे सरप्राइज हुए कि एक तो तुम पहले कांग्रेस पार्टी और फिर तुम राजनीति. Why are you even doing this? Why are you inviting all this hate, whatever? And जो एक महिला इन राजनीति का एक वो बनाया हुआ है एक फीलिंग. वो जैसे राजनीति जैसी पिक्चर आई थी कि अरे वो तो बस अपनी पल्लू गिरा देती है और वो बन गई कुछ. दैट माइंडसेट जो होता है इट इज विद एवरी सिंगल इंडियन. वो हटाना बहुत जरूरी है. एंड दैट ओनली platforms like movies or television industry can
Popular
do. You can talk about women who are empowered without them having to have compromise on anything. It's just their ability to be where they are. So my only thing is that अगर हम लोग सब मिलकर और शेयर ऑफ द पाई जो कहते हैं उसको बढ़ाएंगे. तो जैसे मैंने शुरू किया, मैंने कहा कि मैं तो बाहर से आई, आई मेड दिस एंट्री, आई fought it out and whatever. And quitting was not the option for me because I felt I don't want to be a footnote in history. I want to be someone who came from the outside world and made an impact. I don't know if I made an impact, whatever. But so I started this initiative that let's bring in undergrad girls, let's teach them how to intern with members of parliament, women members of parliament, and get them an idea of what policy and politics is, even if they don't want to get into politics.
So you would encourage women to get into politics?
Definitely. Even if every time someone asks me, and any girl, young woman asks me, I tell them this is the best time for you to be in politics because suddenly every political party has come to understand there are women who are voting their minds. They are coming out in larger numbers to vote, and that's a constituency you have to cater to. Unfortunately, politics works like that. If you're catering to that particular constituency, you will get the results of it. So even if a political party is looking at reaping benefits out of more women coming out, use that opportunity.
But do you think, Payal,
Do you think most of these political parties just use this merely as a tokenism?
tokenism? That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
वो तो मैं कहूँगी कि हाँ सारी राजनीतिक पार्टी are guilty of that. पर at least conversation तो शुरू हुई. उनका ये तो शुरू हुआ कि हमें महिलाओं को जितना हम कर सकते हैं पाइपलाइन बनानी है, महिलाओं को ला सकते हैं. So I would always look at the glass as half full rather than half empty. My struggles aside, if my struggle encourages more women to come into the system and political parties are talking about ladki hu, lad sakti hu, or Pradhan Mantri ji from the Red Fort is talking about having more women and empowered women, then I think it's a very positive sign for women to step into platforms like these. And it's encouraging to see that many women are looking at it as something that they could try their...
There's also a time when, when women were voting, they would openly say that jo saab bolenge, like what the husband is going to say, we're going to do, or what the sarpanch is going to say. But increasingly, at least in two general elections in the past two general elections, one, they don't say whom they're going to vote for, and not necessary that they're going to vote with what the sarpanch has told.
I think Bihar was a classic example. The last Bihar election was a classic example. We just didn't know who they were going to vote for. वोट तो करेंगे पर आपको बताएंगे
नहीं या आपको कुछ गलत बता देंगे. तो that is a very smart way of doing it, and I think most of the political parties and आजकल तो the consultants have become more powerful than the political parties.
We saw
that's another thing about consultants. That now there's rise of consultants, the non-politico consultants, in the sense that they've not gone through the
they're politics agnostic, but they'll work with all political parties.
Correct. They've not worked with the dhul mitti. They don't know the ethos of a political party. They learn the ethos for the sake of an election. They're not ideologically driven. They are. It's the winnability that they are working on.
How do they build a narrative?
And once the party wins, they become part of the setup. And they then get that lateral entry, which causes, tilmilahat. I can't think of the English word for that.
A lot of heartburns.
So how do you reconcile with that, okay, we are going into this American way of democracy where we need these strategists, otherwise it's not possible to win elections?
Actually, constituencies are so big. For every member of parliament having 6 assemblies under them, and then the population in every assembly is a lot. And if you look at the MP-led funds, though people keep abusing, criticizing, etc., MP-led funds are never enough to be able to cater to such a large population. So at that time, when you are absolutely into the last year of your election, your elected term, that's when you start to realize that we'll need some support to be able to streamline this and to get people to know what all we've done. Because भले मैं ट्विटर पे डाल देती हूँ, राइट, पर ट्विटर पे सबने तो नहीं पढ़ा है, और जब समय आएगा और बताना होगा तो कोई सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. I think it started out with that way, and for political parties also to realize winnability, dipstick surveys, everything becomes so important. But then women come out and they say, हाँ वोट इधर करेंगे पर वोट कहीं और कर देते हैं. So their reliabilities also, these consultants' reliabilities also comes under a cloud. So how do you ensure that they are not deciding your winning combinations, but they're ensuring that they're building a narrative? I think that is how politics is moving. I think BJP tried this, Congress tried it, regional parties are trying it. And then realizing, for example, West Bengal, TMC understood that, their connect has to be direct. It cannot be via some person in between.
Right. Now, you are in a party which is in a state of flux, and I don't know, by the time we are recording and by the time we air it, you might lose your symbol, you might get a new symbol, the name of the party is in flux. Which party are you going to be? That also nobody knows by the time the formulations change, in the party. Do you at any point of time think that galti ho gayi?
Not at all. And let me tell you, there's going to be no confusion about which side of the faction I am on. I am with Uddhav Thackeray ji. I will repeat this like 100 times over, even if there are 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. We are going to be fighting this out. But I also know very clearly that the huge support that has come forward, especially the women in Maharashtra right now, is worth observing. It is worth observing. So what is being discussed here, the election commission इनका symbol छीन लेगा, इनका नाम छीन लेगा, इनके अस्तित्व छीन लेगा, जो भी है. But it is only working to consolidate that this has happened incorrectly has bypassed all civil behavior of democracy, democratic principles, and constitutional norms. Maharashtra is, if you've seen its voting pattern, it's pretty clear. It doesn't go backing one political party. It, divide the votes usually are divided. So, but we are seeing a consolidation happen, and hopefully we will continue to build on that momentum because the acceptability of that faction is really worth a challenge.
We are in 22 now. 24 is, when the Lok Sabha elections happen.
You're
End of the
assuming the
year.
elections will happen then?
So we are assuming that, sometime mid-2024 we'll have the Lok Sabha elections and your assembly elections. Does Mr. Thackeray, Uddhav Thackeray, have enough time on his hands to still, tell people that, yes, I'm out of power. Yes, things have gone wrong, but I'm there. I'm going to be able to, will he be able to, come out as a leader that people saw him probably in a few years ago?
Two things I'd like to say here. I see an assembly election happening much before 24. For the sustainability of this government, I honestly have my doubts because even if you look at the 10 schedule, you look at the anti-defection law, you look at the election commission, there is no leg for them to stand upon, very honestly. Anti-defection law very categorically states, ठीक है, तुम्हें नहीं समझ में आ रही है leadership, you defect, but to defect to another party, to join another party, to merge into another party. And that merging into the party will be decided by the party president, not you as a floor leader or a CLP leader. Because legislative party in the 10 schedule makes it very different from a political party, makes it very different from a parliamentary party. So that is one argument. And if you look at the spirit of anti-defection law, clearly either you go to the people with a new party.
Are you preparing for that?
They will have to prepare for it. They're the ones who's going to be suspended.
No, but are you ready for
Yes,
going
we are
absolutely
ready for the polls. And to your question about building on that momentum, little history about, even if you look at how Shiv Sena has functioned, every time we have seen this kind of course, the level and scope is much higher what we see right now. But at that point in time, Shri Raj Thackeray leaving the party, someone from the family leaving the party and accusing of everything. We continue to fight.
He took a different name. He was a nephew.
Narayan Raneji. Chief Minister, everything, leaves, goes to Congress, then he goes to BJP, and now every day from, holds a press conference. So that happens, but this is on a much larger scale, of course.
And if you don't get the symbol, you don't get the name, or if the name gets split into two, this faction and that faction.
Shinde Sena.
Yeah. If it, not necessarily Shinde Sena, but whatever, if it becomes Shiv Sena Shinde or Shiv Sena Thackeray or whatever, do you see a dilution of the vote share?
No. It is very clear that this is a very short-term arrangement for the Bharatiya Janata Party to back someone, but I have sincere doubts. See, ultimately the voter votes. And the sentiment that we see on ground right now is very clearly of a betrayal.
Would you advise Uddhav Thackeray to do something like a Bharat Jodo in Maharashtra?
Aditya ji is already doing that. He's been touring the length and breadth of the state. He's gone through the 40 assemblies where this rebellion happened. He's been there. The members of parliament who have switched sides. So those are the constituencies he's been there to first. Uddhav ji will also begin. He's making a plan post the Shahra. We have post the Shahra rally because that was the immediate challenge for us. We've done that, surpassed that, bypassed the kind of popularity that you all would have seen. That came naturally, organically for him. And moving forward, I'm sure he'll do the Maharashtra tour as well.
And what about you? What do you see your future in the party?
So as far as I'm concerned, I would say that in terms of doing whatever I can, whether it is the Prathamti initiative, whether it is the Mahila Agadi, whether it is in the parent party, whatever responsibility that comes my way, I will, like I said, I have always given my 100%. I'll probably, this time we'll have to give it more than that.
So you're going to tell your trolls on social media, I'm here, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, I don't need to explain to them.
Okay, that's the spirit. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
That was my conversation with Member of Parliament Priyanka Chaturvedi. Thank you for listening in. Please like and subscribe to whichever channel you have heard this on. Namaste, Jai Hind.